If I had to start over in America, no savings, no safety net, there's one thing that I would do before chasing money. And it's not what most people think. Welcome to LNB Perfectly Imperfect. If you're new here, my name is Lily, and this channel is all for immigrant families or anyone who is chasing money, but it seems to always be one step ahead of, even though they're doing their best. Today, I want to just slow this conversation down because if you don't get this step, it might be difficult for you to go through the other process and everything becomes harder than it needs to be. When people come to America, survival is one of the first things, the main priority that we look at. And to be honest, it makes a lot of sense because we're thinking about how bills are going to pay, how we're going to survive through this, right? Like somewhere where you're not used to, that you've heard about, but you have not experienced. So our natural instinct is to work more, earn more, and say yes to everything because that's what we think we should do. And to be honest, I do understand that instinct because bills do not wait. Bills are not waiting on you. But here's what happens when income becomes your only focus. What's going to happen is that money is going to come in, but it's going to leave just as fast. This is not necessarily because you're careless. It is because you have no structure. You started with no structure. Let me say this clearly. Money alone does not create security. Money alone does not create security. Security comes from control. That's going to be control over your emergencies, control over your expenses, control over your spending, control over your decisions. And let me tell you, I've seen families double their income. They double their income and still worry when something breaks. They still panic when something breaks. And that is not a money issue. That is a foundation issue. They did not start with the foundation that they needed. And they did not go back in at the time to build that foundation and rebuild from there. If I had to start over, the first thing that I would do is get clear, right? Get clear, not perfect, not impressive, just honest. I would write down every bill, every debt, and every regular expense. Because when money is invisible, it takes control over your life. Another thing that I would look at is how I will progress over the first few years, right? Over like 5 years or any amount you want to put it at. For me, it's 5 years. I would look at how that first 5 years should look or how I want it to look. I would make that plan. What you would need to look at is where you're at, where you're starting, and where you're going to end up in saying 5 years. What is your 5-year outlook? What should you have? What success should you have accomplished within 5 years? That should help you, like that should push you towards doing something outside of your comfort zone. Because if you want something outside, if you want to be rich or whatever, if you want to have a certain amount of income, how are you going to get it? So you have to plan, you want to get that in 5 years. So you need to do this to be there by the 5-year time frame. And let us just be real for a bit. We know that whatever we plan, it might not necessarily go as planned. You might plan for whatever by whatever time frame, but it doesn't happen. You just need to adapt to your situation. You can still be looking at that 5-year and you're like, well, I planned on going to school for 4 years out of the 5-year. And then whenever I will get my degree by that 5-year time and I will be working as whatever, during that 4 years, I will still be doing this, maybe working at a small place. Maybe you're working at Walmart or something while you're going through school to offset that school fee. But there might be things that's gonna stop your progress. There might be things that's gonna improve it. There might be changes along the way. So you need to adapt every step you take. Because everything might not, honestly, most likely won't turn out as planned, or the process might not go as planned. But you honestly can still meet whatever you wanted to meet in the 5-year time. Or it might not take 5 years, it might take 6. There might be an extra year because of whatever situation. But guess what? You're still doing it. You have your progress written down. You know that you've accomplished a lot. It might take an extra year, but guess what? You were doing it. Your progress is there. You're almost done. Okay. So remember through all of this that you need to set a mindset that will adapt throughout the process. For me, I've had many changes within the time frame that I've been here already. I've started as one thing. So far, I've upgraded once, currently doing another thing. Like there is progress and I am moving forward, right? I'm in a position better than I was when I got here. So look at it. You might have been making minimum wage. When I just came, I was making minimum wage. I'm not anymore. I'm not where I want to be, but I've made a progress. Having this roadmap will let you feel more comfortable with your reality. It will make you feel more comfortable where you're at in life. And that roadmap has to be realistic for you to be comfortable. It still have to be a little bit challenging and a little bit out of your comfort zone, but it has to be realistic. It has to be attainable. Because if you set an unrealistic goal, you're going to be chasing something that you're not getting to. So it's going to be discouraging, right? So it has to be realistic. And to be honest, for most of us, we will not know what the reality is until we're experiencing it. We will not know what the reality is until we're here and until we see what the others are going through. Because we are hearing about it, but we don't know firsthand what is happening. We don't know how hard it is to get a job. We don't know, depending on the area that you're at, what your rent and stuff will be like. You don't know about all of that, right? And especially if you're just coming here, you might be staying with someone. You need credit score and all of that. That's a whole nother process. You don't need it, but it makes stuff easier in regards to renting a place or whatever. And when you're just coming here, you don't have that credit score to use. Building this roadmap will let you become more comfortable with your present situation. You're more happy with your present situation because you know that you're going through the process. You are one step ahead of where you were. Getting this roadmap will also make you uncomfortable. It will push you if you wanted to do stuff within a time frame that you planned. It will push you to come out of your comfort zone. It will push you to move on from that job that's paying you minimum wage. It will push you to move on. Through all of this, you will be more appreciative because you're making that progress. You will appreciate your today more so you don't have to be looking at others and trying to be like others while your process is different. And the fact of the matter is, you might meet that goal and you might not. Within all of that, you just need to adapt to the situation. Having control over your life doesn't mean that you won't be able to enjoy your life. I've said this in a previous video, but having control over your life is living within your means. It means knowing what you can afford without stress. It means not being afraid to look in your bank account. It means that your money serves your life and not the other way around. Control gives you choices that you have to make the decision on. When you have no control, you have no choice. You have to do what you have to do. And look at this. Luke 14 verse 28 says, suppose one of you want to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost? What if you want to become a doctor? Won't you sit down, make that plan, estimate that cost to become that doctor, and make that plan to see which pathway you're going to go through? Won't you sit down and do that? That's what you're going to do within your life. You have to decide how you're going to pay that off as well. So let's get this straight. Planning isn't fear, but it's wisdom, because God is a God of order and order creates peace. Once you have that freedom, because you have that control over your life, everything becomes a little bit easier. Your savings becomes more because it becomes a little bit easier. Savings becomes achievable. Your debt payoff doesn't seem that impossible anymore. It doesn't need to take as long anymore. And goals stop feeling like dreams because you can do it. You can do it. So control is the door and not the destination. Control is what is going to help you to go through to that destination. Let's reframe this American dream. The American dream isn't about how fast you earn. It is about how free you become. And freedom starts with control. So here's my challenge to you today. We're not just gonna earn more this week. We're gonna get clear this week. Comment below what's one money number that you have been avoiding. Subscribe if you're ready to stop guessing, but start building, because we're going to build together and we're just getting started.